For those of you that are relatively new to the podcast, football guys talking basketball, FGTB, pretty self explanatory, right?
Yep.
Yep. Let's start with, it was a rough one for Porter Moser's boys. The number 12 ranked Sooners, undefeated no more. Went to Alabama, number 5 Alabama. Very, very good basketball team. Extremely talented, very athletic in the front court. And to say it did not go well would be quite the understatement. That was an absolute blowout. And it was never close. And we all were hoping that they'd get off to a good start in conference play. And I don't think that's the start we were looking for. That was not good.
It was brutal. And, it's going to be like that this year. I mean, that crowd at Alabama was intense. It was loud. And there's no doubt in my mind that that had an impact on the game. And that's how it's going to be this year in this conference, man. Whenever you're playing on the road, they're going to be really good teams, going to be good environments. And, it's different than the Big 12, but a lot is the same. You have to hold serve at home. You know, Going on the road, if you can still a road win, it's going to be really impressive and it's going to take you a long way, but you have to be able to win your tough home games.
Sooners got absolutely hammered on the boards.
Oh my gosh. It was brutal.
22 offensive rebounds for Bama. It just when you look at Godwin and Northwood, they're not super athletic guys.
Yep.
And you saw a couple of those guys from Bama, you're just like, whoa. And what they were outranked, I think it was 51-26. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're getting
Second
out
chance
rebounded
points, I
like,
think I saw like it was like 20-2 at one point.
yeah, if
Second
you're
chance.
if you're getting just completely throttled on the glass like that, it's typically things are not going to go well unless you really change the math with the 3-point shot, which was another which
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 did
was
not.
another issue. You're It's going to be very, very difficult to beat these good SEC teams if you only make 5 threes. Sooners were 5-19. That's just that's not going to get it done. If you can't really compete on the glass, you better hit threes. And it was but both of those areas of the game did not go well. And that's why you saw the margin at the end of that one. It was just rough, Ted. I was trying to think of positives from the game, and the only thing I could think of was, hey, Jeremiah Fierce kind of got it going in the second half. He
Oh
found it a
yeah.
little bit, but he only
Which
had
was
one
big.
point in the first half, and the
Yeah,
game was over already.
he was 0 for a big chunk of that game. And then I think he hit 3 or 4 in a row late and the game
Let's
was
be real,
already
it was garbage time.
it was
Like the
garbage
entire
time.
second half was garbage time.
It was decided, but I did like that he found a little bit of rhythm and got some confidence back because you got to remember he's still an incredibly young player, and I mean I think it was maybe back to reality a little bit that this season's going to be incredibly difficult. Um, I don't know. I still think this is a good team. I think we will play better in some of those tough matchups, but it does bring back some memories of past years where we've looked good early, but whenever we got into conference play and bigger, more athletic front courts did their damage against us. I hope it's not the case for the duration this year.
56 points in the paint for Bama.
Hard to overcome.
And I think the most disappointing thing for me watching the game was OU's defense
Too many wide open looks,
they're
wide
just
open dunks.
So many easy baskets, like just defensive breakdowns. It felt like Bama got wherever they wanted to get on the court and then got easy basket after easy basket.
Yep.
It's not like Bama shot the lights out or anything like that. They just completely out executed and overwhelmed them physically. And that was discouraging for me, but I'm going to try to not overreact to how overmatched the Sooners looked in that game. They're still 13-1. I still am excited, but they need to come out and play well Wednesday night against A&M.
Yep.
And A&M's really good too.
Yep.
That's a top 15 team. Really good basketball team.
Late tip in that 8 o'clock game.
Yeah, baby. Late
Late
nighter in
tip
Norman.
Wednesday night. We need to have a good crowd there. I mean, you saw the impact that it had in the game against Alabama. We got to have a good environment at home because, like I said, it's going to be very difficult to beat top 10, top 15 teams on the road. So whenever you're at home, you've got to be able to get those crucial wins and stockpile as many as you can. And yeah, I don't know. I'm still optimistic. Yeah, I don't really know what I'm looking at. Oftentimes, I got to rely on what everyone else is kind of telling me, but my eyes told me we've got issues in the front court. Hopefully, we can get better play, and we're not going to all of a sudden become super athletic and grow, during the season, but we can be a hell of a lot better on defense than we were against Alabama.
Completely agree. And you got to hit threes. It's basketball now. If you're not going to be really good in the front court, you're going to struggle protecting the rim. You have to, not only do you have to hit them, you got to take a lot of them.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if that becomes a bigger piece of what the Sooners do. Hey, at least the women won.
Yeah.
It got very uncomfortable late. I relaxed. I won't lie. I
Yeah.
relaxed. I was like, they got it. And then the fourth quarter happened and they could not put the ball in the basket. And it got very, very uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable. And again, not an easy place to win. And they've had a couple of tough ones on the road here to start off conference play. And they stole one at Tennessee. I say they stole one. They really dominated the basketball game, and Tennessee tried to steal it late, but were able to get it done, and that's one that carries you. It's a big win going in there and getting that one.
And I mean, I don't even think Skylar Vance scored a point. Reagan Beers was much less productive than what we've come to expect from her. I think what'd she have, like 13?
Yeah.
But still, if that fourth quarter was done, that's something that Jenny Baranchek is not going to be happy about, but it doesn't change the fact that you win your conference opener on the road against a really good Tennessee team. Like that's something to build on. It just you wish you would have finished a little stronger.
Yeah.
Got outscored by 15 in the fourth.
Well, was the Texas was not enough. They lost their conference opener, right, to Texas.
Oh, yeah. I keep forgetting that is
Yeah.
they're in
But
the SEC.
won
Sorry,
the
I'm not.
conference
I'm not
road
smart.
opener.
You knew what
It,
I meant.
but that was a nice win on the road, though. Number 15, Tennessee, solid team to be able to get it out of there with that dub, even though it wasn't pretty late. I mean, they've got a stretch here where they need to stockpile some wins before they go to number 2 South Carolina on January 19th. So at Mississippi State, at home against A&M and Missouri before they go out to South Carolina.
Jenny's going to want them to play better in the fourth quarter, because if you go back to that Texas game, I think it was tied going into the fourth.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Got outplayed in the fourth by Texas, lose that one in Norman. Now, this one, you had a big cushion, but got outplayed in the fourth again. She's not going to be pleased with that. That's your two SEC games where you have not performed the way you want to perform in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
So we'll see. We'll see what it looks like in their next one. But hey, at least they won. The Thunder are awesome.
Ooh,
This is the
man.
part where we get to talk about the Thunder, and I just smiled the whole time. You talk about a team that was good in the fourth quarter in the last couple. They were absolute nails in the fourth quarter this weekend. Really nice win over the Knicks. Really nice win over the Celtics. You look at the Knicks game, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander was fantastic. He had 20 from Jalen Williams. But the story of the game is the fourth quarter from the Thunder, and the story of that is Aaron Wiggins, baby. Just took the game over. 15 points in the fourth quarter for Aaron Wiggins in that win over the Knicks. It was amazing. It was fantastic. Did you see that coming? Is that what you were expecting?
Well, no, that's not what I would expect, but I mean, the more people that like, the deeper you go into the roster and get that type of play, especially late, is I mean, it's why they're so good, and they're going to get better whenever Chet finds his way back onto the court, which has to be somewhat concerning for the rest of the league that the Thunder are 30-5, and we still haven't seen them play at full strength yet.
They've technically, because remember the NBA Cup championship game does not count. It's not a real game, like statistically speaking. They've won 15 games in a row. And the Celtics, it looked like the Celtics were a little too much for them. And then the second half happened. A few defensive adjustments. They put Lou Dort on Jaylen Brown, and he locked him up for the entire second half. But they end up winning comfortably. And I know the Celtics missed a lot of shots in the second half, but the Boston Celtics scored 27 points in a half of basketball. They scored 12 points in the fourth quarter, Ted. Absolute shackles from the Thunder in the second half of that game.
Well, I mean, it was 85-85 with 7.5 to go in the fourth, and the Thunder scored 20 points from that point on, just blew the doors open. Went on what that would be a 25-7 run at that point to close the game. Hello.
Lou Dort could not hit a shot until they absolutely needed him to hit shots, and then he couldn't miss. And Shea was awesome. He was the best player on the floor. 33, 11, and 6. He just continues to be an absolute pleasure to watch play basketball. And another great game from Aaron Wiggins. Yeah, sure. Boston also could not hit a three, but that was very helpful to the Thunder's cause. But I like to think that the Thunder had a lot to do with that because of the way that they defend. But they're the best team in the NBA.
Well,
now we're going to get number one on number one.
I know that's going to be awesome at Cleveland.
They're
one game better or half a game better, maybe?
Yeah. But I don't think anyone would take, like if you said, hey, who would you pick to win a series? I don't think anyone's taking Cleveland over the Thunder. I could be wrong.
I wouldn't think so. It's crazy, though, that the Thunder have a 7-game lead in the West right now.
And the team has not been whole for one game.
Crazy. Now, I can't imagine, but whenever he comes back, does that throw anything off with rotations and chemistry? I mean, there may be a little bit of a learning curve, but at some point, you have to imagine they're going to be better.
You have to imagine that. Yeah, will it throw things off? Of course it will. Right? They haven't all played together. I think the most challenging thing will be how do Chet and Hartenstein fit on the court together. But Chet seems like a very unselfish guy. Hartenstein just got paid. He seems like a great teammate and kind of a great facilitator. So I'm not overly concerned about it. Now, I was a little concerned about Chet's outfit during the Boston game, but
Uh-oh, I didn't see it.
oh, you didn't see the white beanie? Oh,
Maybe that's a good sign though, because remember how horrible Hartenstein looked.
and he's been great.
How awesome was that? Who was it pinned it on the glass? Then they went the other end, and he caught that alley oop and dunked on that dude.
You mean
That
when
was awesome.
Shea pinned, what was it,
Was
Jason
it
Tatum?
Shea? That was awesome.
That's the thing about Shea now is like, I used to think that some people just talked about how good of a defender was because in a weird way, people were just comparing him to what Russell Westbrook was as a defender when he played for the Thunder. Like, oh, this is kind of our expectation for the best player for the Thunder and how they play defense. And Shea is a much better defender than Russell ever was. But now I feel like he's actually a very good defender. I don't know if what I just said makes any sense at all, but he's become like it seems like he takes a lot of pride in it now.
Yeah.
And people have really started to notice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Russ would get you a bunch of steals, but there was a lot of gambling going on.
There was a lot of relaxing.
A lot of relaxing going on. Yeah.
A lot of wandering. And it just Shea is I mean, he's the odds-on favorite to win the MVP right now for a reason. I mean, he's the betting favorite as of right now, as of tonight.
How does this team compare with, the last time the Thunder were right there on the verge?
I think if they are whole, this is the most talented Thunder team we've had. I think that's fair to say. And now, no one's Kevin Durant, but the things that Shea does and the way that he leads, Lou Dort's one of the best on-ball defenders in the league. Jalen Williams can do it all. Now, I would like to see Jalen Williams play better in some of these big games. Like he doesn't show up the way I want him to show up in some of these big games that they've had. But you know what? I still think he's a fantastic player. I think Chet is kind of a piece that differentiates this Thunder team versus the last one.
Definitely deeper. Way deeper.
Feels way deeper.
Way more two-way players.
I mean, Aaron Wiggins, I feel like Aaron Wiggins would have been a starter for some of those Thunder teams.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. This would take this is a much longer conversation that we just don't have time for. But long story short, very excited about what this season could be.
Yep.
Starting to get to the point where if they don't make the NBA finals, I'm going to be disappointed. I'm starting to drift to that opinion. In the past, there's been years where the standings maybe don't tell you as much because as you had some of the older teams that could flip the switch whenever it came playoff time. I don't know that the league is the same anymore. I don't see those teams that have been there, that have guys that have won multiple titles and they're just waiting for that moment to flip the switch. I don't know. Feels like it's a totally different era. Last year, everyone liked to point out, hey, the Thunder were healthy all year long. They didn't have any guys miss long stretches. That's why they were the number one seed. They haven't had Chet for a long time now. They just keep winning. So it's very exciting. It's a very exciting time to be a Thunder fan.
Yes, it is.
Now, maybe some of that will rub off on OU basketball.
It will, of course.
Pretty sure that's how it works.